Harmony Williams, and this is Life Changing Trips. Sometimes it's hard to see the freedom and the beauty that lives behind the weight of everything we carry. But I believe that life is so amazing, and I can't waste another moment. I'm so excited to be here with you for another transformational conversation about experiences and the latest research on plant medicine, meditation, breath work, and other unconventional modalities, and how they are being used for mental health and expansion. I hope by listening that you will find ways to integrate your peak experiences and epiphanies to open up new levels of possibilities, ingenuity, and fulfillment in business, and deeper, authentic connection and passion in your relationships, and a feeling of purpose, of living fully alive. All content is for informational, entertainment, educational, and harm reduction purposes only. Life-Changing Trips and Harmony Williams and their affiliates and guests are not doctors or mental health professionals or legal advisors. Any information shared is not meant to treat, diagnose, or claim cures for any physical conditions or mental illness. Psychedelics and sacred plant medicines are not for everyone, even when done legally. There are serious contraindications with various health conditions and pharmaceutical medications. Please do your own research and take action to be informed. Remember that you are 100% responsible for your actions and subsequent consequences. The views of the guests are not the views and opinions of Life-Changing Trips. Thanks for being here on this episode of Life-Changing Trips. We have the Shaman and the Shrink. Dr. Steve Renfeldt Ph.D. is a clinical and forensic psychologist with over 30 years of experience. He specializes in integration therapy for those experiencing life-changing events following ceremonial plant medicine experiences and psychedelic assisted therapy. Today, Steve's going to explain the 5 S's to know before a journey. We know some of them, set and setting, but he goes into more detail and more depth. And he also talks about how to integrate the experience, even difficult ones, for your benefit. Diana Denman is an incredible yoga teacher. I've been to some of her classes and they are awesome. It's more than just yoga. Yes. And she's a certified Reiki master. She's been given the title of Shaman by her community. She teaches classes and has an office at Awakened Soul in St. George, Utah for private sessions. Diana today discusses, among other things, how different plants have different consciousness and how our interaction with them should be a friendship. Her experiences serving DMT and how to ethically serve medicine. So I'm really excited for today's episode. Before we start, I just want to ask you a question. If you were able to help someone and you were never going to be given credit for them, and you actually didn't even know the person, but you knew it would help someone, would you take 60 seconds of your time, and it didn't cost you anything, to do that? So if that's the kind of person you are, I would love to, I'm sure you found this podcast somewhere, and if you can share it, however you found it, maybe someone told you about it, maybe you saw a post on social media, maybe someone forwarded one of the post to you. Anyway, go ahead and take 60 seconds right now, pause the episode if you're not driving, and share that with someone else who maybe could be stuck, or maybe you don't even know them. Maybe as you share online or leave a review, it helps someone out who is depressed or feeling stuck or has something that this podcast could help them out with. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate you listening and your support and all the incredible feedback and comments and reviews that we've gotten. I am so grateful. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Harmony. I'm here with Dr. Steve and Diana from the Shaman and the Shrink. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Okay, from YouTube. I am so excited. These two are amazing people and have really been really kind to my family. So I really appreciate that. And
we love your family.
Oh, just good hearts and want to help. And I know we've been talking about what our purposes of why we even want to do this. But maybe before we get there, I can just ask you to tell a little bit about each of you. Do you want to start, Steve, and tell us about...
I'm going to pass the plate over to Diana.
Okay, let's go, Diana.
Why do I have to start first?
Well, let's see. I think my first question is just about shaman and plant medicine, and tell us a little bit about what that means and what a shaman even is. And
gosh, I want to listen to this again too.
So for me personally, I started practicing yoga several years ago, and like you were saying about plant medicine, once you experience it, you feel like the world needs this. I have to share this. Mm-hmm. It's like a good kept secret that we just have to share because it's so helpful. So I came to yoga because of a back injury when I was in high school. And right out of high school, I decided that I wanted to share and teach yoga. So that's what I started doing. And then I went to my first yoga teacher training and was introduced to energy. And energy medicine, the chakras, all of that. And it just took me because it just made sense, right? Mm-hmm. So it opened up a whole new world. And then I came to shamanism or medicine through, funnily enough, my lunch lady when I was in elementary school was the medicine woman or the grandmother out at the tribe on the Indian reservation, right outside the military base that I grew up on. Yeah. And I ran into her just out and about, and we were talking about things, and she invited me to come and learn from her.
That's so cool. The lunch lady.
Yeah, the lunch lady. So I spent 10 years out there with her learning their ways and their medicine, and that really just made me very passionate about it. I've always been kind of witchy and into herbal medicine and all of that esoteric or eclectic, even the occult. But as far as plant medicine goes, for me, it's just a spiritual tool. Yes. It's a little piece of what we can do. It's just a tool of helping us along on our journey, and it's magical. I feel like what it does for us, it opens us up to new ways, mm-hmm. right? It kicks us off that cliff. We're too scared to go off ourselves, right?
but we really, it's for our best.
Right. And it shows us things that maybe we miss, or maybe we don't know, or we don't want to look at, or
we can't see. Sometimes you're just like digging around, like, right. What is this belief, or what is holding me back?
Right. What is this? And so setting that intention, doing the plant medicine with sincere intention is helpful. And another thing I like to stress mostly is that none of this does the work for you.
Yes.
Right? It just works with you. It's an ally. I always say that the only active ingredient in any medicine is friendship. Mm-hmm. And so having that relationship and friendship with any medicine, really, but especially the stronger plant medicines and the more spirituals, because each plant is a sentient being. It's a spirit. There's a spirit for ayahuasca, for psilocybin, for aloe vera. There's a spirit in them. So having a relationship with that spirit, and that to me is what shamanism is relating to sentient beings and spirits and loving them better, loving them where they are, but not leaving them there, and just helping along a healing journey, whatever that may be. And shaman is a title now that is overly used, and it's kind of like the word God now. We just use it so much that it doesn't mean anything anymore. Mm-hmm. But shaman isn't a title that you take or give to yourself, or that you can go to a weekend workshop and attain, although there's belief that you can.
There's some people try to do that.
And some people have done that, but
the price is right.
Yeah.
The title shaman is something that's given to you by your community. It's not a name or a title or even a place in your community that you take. Mm-hmm. It's something that is given to you by your community, and it's sacred. Yeah. It's supposed to be very sacred. So I hold that with high esteem. I hold that, and I remember that as a shaman, as being given that from my community. It's a big responsibility and an honor, and I have to be worthy of that. So I tread lightly. Yeah.
So cool. So I've been to one of your classes, and I wouldn't even say it was a yoga class, because I think you pulled out many tools, because there was like, I want to ask you all your tools, because I know it wasn't just yoga or just breathing or just a couple things. It was this immersive experience in a lot of different things you offer, but I know you were just very intuitive to what people in the class needed, and flowing with that. Yet it was so, each person just got this. I know I felt incredible after, and my whole spirit was lifted, you just walking out of a 1 hour class. And that's one of those profound alternative modalities that I'm talking about here in the podcast. Is it's not just more the let's take a pill or the standard things to get unstuck or to help with depression, or just these little daily things where just kind of get in the stress and the muck of it, and go to 1 hour of a class, and I come out like, just on a higher level and more myself, and want to go. And I always know when I'm feeling good. So whatever the modality is, whether it's plant medicine or breathing or your class or a session with an amazing life coach, I know, because I feel, and I wouldn't have ever described chakras or chakras. I didn't know what that meant, but I feel aligned. I feel like myself. I feel like floating, and I want to go dance and play and run outside with my little kids,
so good,
and just sing and live and be alive. And you know the difference for when you're just like stuck, and whatever those modalities are that get you from stuck to unstuck. But tell me what else is in your tool belt. Like
before you do that, I have to jump in here.
Oh, good. Yes.
Because the topic's on plant medicine, and one of the things but it also ties in perfectly with what you just described so beautifully, and that is the research has been going on now for over 15 years. Finally, being able to access the medicine, the plant medicine, in order to find out what it does, and it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. But one of the things that I heard in the symposium I was watching lately was that brain scans on plant medicine very similar to brain scans of those in a meditative state. Yeah. The same time, and they said, so it's, for me, it's that plant medicine is a vehicle. Holy crap, meditation, yoga is a vehicle. And like yourself, having attended Diana's class for 3 years, it took me about 3 months, because I'd never done yoga, and it wasn't the pose or the hot body yoga. I mean, no offense, but it was an entirely different piece of yoga that I didn't realize yoga has multiple branches. Yeah. And doesn't the word yoga mean bring together, or
to
unite mind, body, spirit? And like you described, your class was exactly that. It was like, we're doing these movements, but yet, we're breathing, we're doing things that about 3 months, all of a sudden I started to feel it. I mean, I didn't feel it. I felt these things she was talking about, and it's like, holy shit, this stuff's real. Well,
it's one thing when you see like the scientific evidence of a study on the paper,
experience it,
and then you're like, okay, there was something there. Like I felt it. I felt the shift first.
What the study says.
Yeah, firsthand experience.
Well, it makes a difference. I mean,
believe it.
We embrace it usually when we've experienced it, and we feel passionate about it, or even someone describing chakras and saying there's these things, and it's like, I don't know what that is. Is it true? I don't know. But then when I'm like, I think I know what that was, because mine felt great. Mine felt aligned. I don't know, but whatever they are, it's like, wow.
Whatever that is, there's something to it.
So there's several different modalities, Reiki, yoga, theta healing, all these different modalities that's coming out with the new age. And I've done them all. Like I've done Reiki and even theta healing and shamanism and all of those modalities, and they all have tools. They all have super tools. But I think the most important thing for me, especially in my classes or even in private sessions, is to meet and love you where you're at, but not to leave you there. And just like plant medicine, it's a pathway. And I feel like in my classes, if I can show you the way and teach you how to get to that space of joy and balance and knowing your spirit and what it feels like when it is in balance, getting to recognize what that feels like on medicine or off, you can get there. It becomes easy. It's like creating another path, a neural pathway to that space of joy and gratitude. And so being able to connect spiritually, in my eyes, to each person that attends a class or comes to me privately in that space and show them their own pathway. Because your pathway is not my pathway, and your pathway is not my pathway. But helping you find your pathway to that place and helping you to know your tools to get there with or without medicine. And then we can also become so familiar that we know when something else comes knocking. So if somebody else's anger is affecting us, we'll know, right? So we're not mad when we're like, I have no idea why I'm so irritated. It's not even our energy, right?
Right.
But learning these tools to get to know your own self, and when you feel so centered and grounded and whatever you feel, knowing that that's what you're truly supposed to feel like, you get to start to recognize when something's affecting that and how to stop it. So really my only goal is to love and meet you where you are, but not to leave you there.
Love it.
Yeah.
So good. And what you're describing, I have these last couple years been developing that a little more. Like what this feels like, and whatever those tools are to open up that door and show me this is what it feels like when you're fully alive and you're fully you and you're aligned and this is what it feels like. And then you're like, oh, okay, now what is this? Well, that's actually my husband's or my kids. And I'm just like, that's not, I'm starting to recognize, and I think you can kind of build up that, or not build it up, but learn that, like the more you practice it, the more you do that,
the more times you take that pathway to being sovereign and whole and grounded, the easier it is to live there one day, right? To live in that place and from that place. Yes,
that's what I was going to say, that place, as I use these different modalities and get to that spot, then it's more like that thermostat is set at a different point. It's not set at this maybe
normal.
The depression point. Yeah, it's set here, and I'll dip down a little bit, but I know what this feels like, and that's where I know how to get back there and want to be there.
Fun thing that Diana teaches, or besides, and I have to make sure I get it right, it's chakra, not chakra.
I know, you hear chakra a lot, so I thought chakra was
It took me many months of being reminded.
But I'm going to take it from,
But she teaches this energy hygiene.
Okay.
And I think about energy hygiene, what does that mean? And she talks about how sometimes intentionally or unintentionally we slime people with our energy or are slimed by someone else. And it's a fun class to actually stop and recognize what you were talking about, how we oftentimes take on other people's mood, their emotion, their stuff, and we don't even know when we feel it's us. And fun class, a really fun class. We're trying to get her back to do it again, and maybe she'll do it online. Do you even have it recorded?
I do.
Oh, cool.
We'll talk her into posting it then.
That reminds me of, on plant medicines, and there's several that I think can do this, but I notice that I'm more able to feel other people, their emotion, their personality, what is theirs, and what, like, or you feel it, like you're there, you know it's theirs, but you understand what it feels like.
Right.
And it's really interesting to connect you to people, but also to realize
Right.
There's these bodies, but we still have this energy we're exchanging all the time.
That's why it's so important to take care in who is in your space, what is in your space when you are doing these ceremonies with medicine or when you are on medicine, because they open you up to so much that you become essentially a vessel for energies. And if you're not aware, and somebody is in there with whatever kind of intentions or even their own negativity, because we're spewing it, right, in these ceremonies or on medicine, that's what we're trying to discharge, right? And so all this stuff is discharging, and here we are, open vessels, right? So it's so easy to, I got rid of my grief, but now I've picked up yours. Right. So that's like the true law of attraction, right? The vibration of grief is attracted to the vibration of grief. So if I have grief in me and I become an open vessel, your grief is going to stick to me like glue.
So
right?
Do you see that in these kind of group things where you just go and you say somebody you don't know and 20 people in the room you don't know?
I see that a lot.
I mean, or hear about it, really. I guess I've heard about that. It doesn't really appeal to me to go into a room with a bunch of strangers and a facilitator I don't know. And, that doesn't really quite so much appeal to me, because I think it's that trust and that I want to know somebody.
I hear more negative experiences from medicine with people who have done it in a large group of strangers than if they've done it, in a smaller group with people that they know and love and trust. And it really depends on the medicine person, the person that's guiding the ceremony, and are they capable of holding that safe space? And so even with sitters or whatever, are they capable of holding that space? So shamanically, we see energy traveling. So if I see Steve's anger traveling towards you, it's my responsibility to make sure that doesn't come into you while you're on medicine.
Neat.
So
how do you do that? Magic.
It's work. Just creating creating that safe space so you can come in and really trust that you're going to get what you need, receive what's meant for you in that ceremony, and really have that relationship with the medicine.
So cool.
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, a big part of the Shamanist Shrink is our goal to take the best of both worlds of Eastern, Western medicine, or traditional, non-traditional, or whatever you want to call it, because as you understand and hear Diana's work, I mean, it's clear. I mean, and it fits principles that allow people to heal and grow from the perspective of a therapist. So our whole goal is to see if we can meld the both, integrate the both, provide a place where it's okay to take the best of both.
Love it. Yeah, okay, and I wanted to get to you.
Yeah, we need to talk about
but on this particular topic was spiritually, shamanically, energetic-wise, these conditions under which people use medicine is so important. And coming from the, again, more of I hate to say medical model, but more from the, what would you call it? What are we now anymore? We're Western medicine?
No, you're...
Well, traditional medicine model.
Well,
the point being,
you're non-traditional medicine.
Don't say that yet.
Ancient medicines are traditional medicine.
Oh,
right.
Gotcha. Okay, coming from the.
But they do call
more modern medicine.
Okay.
Yeah, modern medicine.
Modern
like
medicine.
That.
There we go. One of the things, and for your listeners and viewers, I have to get a plug for one of the websites where I learned the most about plant medicines long before I ever had an opportunity to experience them, and I found that they're factual, they're detailed, they're unbiased, and it's wonderful. It's called the thirdwave.co, and they provide all the psychedelic medicines and other medicines that tend to be used. They give their history, they give their chemistry, then they give how they're experienced by people who have used them recreationally, versus those who use them intentionally for personal growth, for change, whatever it is. And because that's what we're about. And I think that's what's happening now is people are seeking plant medicine for incredible shifts in growth. And that's, again, on the modern medical side, the research is, again, showing that single experiences, single journeys, single ceremonies on plant medicines have outperformed recovery in so many groups, substance abuse, PTSD, depression, anxiety, that it can't be ignored any longer.
Right.
And it's a shame that it's been stuffed over here as something, because those of us who work in the field, there's nothing sadder than have to see someone painfully get better.
Yeah.
It takes months and months. And of course, I understand there are conditions where that's the case.
Yeah.
But there are so many conditions or things that people struggle with that interfere with their personal lives, their social lives, interferes with work, that they can get help from.
Yeah.
Much quicker with the aid of.
Right.
And that's why there's a big movement going on, and a lot of practitioners, therapists, doctors, psychiatrists are now being trained in psychedelic assisted therapy, so that we can try to prevent some of the stuff that takes place in those large groups.
Yeah.
Because the large groups, as Diana was talking about, we've both had people come, and wonderful spirit experience, rated right up there with top of anything they've ever done. But then they come home and say, now what do I do?
Yeah, right.
And there's no place to really talk about or figure out what I just experienced, what I saw. Many things people experience are extremely spiritual, and often cause what we call an existential crisis, where your core beliefs are now being challenged.
Right.
And so we're so glad you had the experience. Go home and have a good night.
Thank you for your money.
Figure it out.
Thank you for your money.
So Diane and I are very passionate about that, but not just Diane and I, but I have to give credit to my field as I've, again, participated in this psychedelic assisted therapy conference, and finding out there are a lot of dedicated providers that are doing everything they can to get that to the people, going through Congress, doing the research, because that's the only way we can do it.
Yeah.
And
but sadly, I've even noticed, and I feel like it's getting better, that now that they're doing the ketamine assisted treatment in inpatient models,
too soon.
There's still no aftercare.
Yeah.
There's still no. We have a mutual friend who did it inpatient and outpatient, and the nurse would come to the home. She gives you your shot. You have your 20 minutes on ketamine, and then okay, thanks, bye. And there's nothing. And when I talked to the nurse, she said, "I'm not trained for that. I'm just here to administer the medicine."
Oh, wow.
So they're not having any guidance on how to use this magic.
What to expect, how to interpret.
Medicine. This is magical medicine, and they're not given any instruction therapeutically or spiritually on what to do with it.
I've heard a wide array of experiences with ketamine and different facilitators and different clinics, and some of them do several I've heard of, and maybe this is just in town in St. George. They have a therapist. I don't know if that's a therapist or a coach, somebody, right? A therapist, it could be a psychologist, but they have somebody there after to talk to process with for 30 minutes or an hour. One of them basically just booked his therapist for that time period after.
Only though if you pay the money to do it in the office.
Yeah.
Not if you
but also then what about the next month or 2 or 3, or you know what I mean?
Right.
That one day, they're still coming out of it.
Right.
And they're not even back together yet.
Yeah,
and then
and
then a week or 2 later is kind of when they're still trying to figure out what all this means.
And trust me, speaking from my experiences as 30 years in the field, there is no way that I have been prepared to understand what it's like going through those experiences until I had my own experiences.
Right.
With each one of them separately, like Diana explained so well. And I don't know how to say it to in a way that sounds scientific, but each one of them has a very unique personality, spirit, energy, whatever you call it.
Yeah, you're getting converted over to
it's like I gotta watch.
You're kind of
stay on your side.
Each one
it
provides a unique experience that is profoundly transformative. But some of the things that I've experienced and have been confirmed that other people experienced over and over again, they don't fit into anything that we can say, oh, it means this or it means this. So we have to, people have to process and learn how to integrate it. And here locally, as we both are, we know that there's been, how would you say, there's been many people served medicine.
A resurgence.
There's been, and it's been going on for at least 3 years that I've been here and before.
It's getting bigger too.
It's shocking to me how, I would never have thought, I would never have dreamed how many people I've met once.
I would really like to see the people that are serving the medicine just have a little bit more respect for the medicine, because I see a lot of people, the medicine turns on them. So,
we tell what that means, turns on them?
So shamanically, we have a relationship with the spirit of the medicine. And so we have a mutual friend who serves very high-powered DMT medicine, and as lovely as she is, there's a lack of respect knowing who to serve it to and who may be ready for it and who may not be. And as long as they paid $300, I'll serve it to you, right? And
kind of this intake process, really.
Right. And while she says there is an intake, she still serves it to whoever.
Gotcha.
So it's begun turning on her where the person on the medicine has physically attacked her, verbally attacked her, and so this is what it looks like when medicine, shamanically, spiritually, the medicine starts to turn on you.
Well, it sounds like some of those people may not have been really ready for it.
And the shaman needs to know that.
That's the point.
That's the problem,
may not
is that
been...
the people serving the medicine need to have respect for how powerful this is.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm noticing that while I know some of them want to do good, and they're really trying to help people because the medicine helped them so much.
Right.
They still say they want everybody to try it.
Yeah.
But it's not right.
It's not right for everybody.
So
good.
Somebody, if you have a magical experience on psilocybin, that might not be Steve's medicine, right? But you can share that. But saying, oh, you have to try this without really feeling into, maybe he prefers cannabis or, and then calling yourself a medicine person or a shaman and just start serving it to anybody without really having a respect because you did an overnight, a weekend workshop or even a 6-month workshop. Now you're a shaman and can serve the medicine. It doesn't work that way.
And people don't understand the severity of what they're dealing with because their experience or whatever training they had is very much about what we consider the more positive outcomes. But like Diana, the same thing, even with ayahuasca. The number of people that we know, and specifically someone just last year I got a call. Someone had done ayahuasca up in Salt Lake and was down here and was actively psychotic.
Oh, wow.
So their family, and it had been a week later.
Yeah.
I mean, he's long gone from the center, or wherever they did it, and it was sad because he didn't know how to interpret his experience
and integrate it back into
real life, and ended up being admitted to one of the local units, psych units, because of the danger to himself, and ultimately has had a horrible effect on his family. Sadly, I met the guy's bright. He has a very grounded part of him, but he was not prepared for some of the stuff that he experienced. And again, part of on my side and what my field's trying to do is and I hate regulation. Okay,
It's so hard. And I see there's reasons that there's regulations, just like what we're talking about here. There are dangers, and there's dangers to alcohol, and we just gotta, there are just dangers, and we need to be as informed as possible.
We could definitely use a little, even on the shamanic practitioners or whatever, all self-medicine people. I do believe, I'm not advocating for regulation, but I do believe, I wish that there was just a little more ethical regulation.
I think it's really on the person, learning as we teach people, as they're researching.
Yeah, it's on them, but that's not working right now.
Yeah,
that's the
true.
problem.
Yeah.
Which is why we're actually talking about it with you, because it's we're not trying to say you have to be this, and this to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, so when I teach people, a big part of the class is ethics. Ethically serving medicine, or even ethically healing, ethically doing these practices, because you get in so deeply into somebody's soul that there's so many ways that you can manipulate them. And I've seen too many times New Age healers and all these Reiki practitioners or whatever, they hook their clients to keep them coming back and back and back. They feel like they need them. My goal is to never see you again.
Right.
I love you, but I want to teach you how to do this for yourself. Right? And so you get so deep that there's such a way to hurt people. So I do, not an advocate for regulation, just like Steve said, but I do wish that there was some sort of controls for that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some solutions. What were you going to say? I cut you off.
It's coming down the pipe on my end of it appears that Washington is going to require that the use, administration of things we're talking about, in this case, psilocybin. But we've got the other medicines that are following suit that have the research to support them, MDMA, of course the ayahuasca, LSD, and of course, and then ketamine. Then ketamine. The thing happened with ketamine is ketamine hit iboga. Going back to ketamine, in my opinion, ketamine kind of hit the mark to be administered as, by a medical provider or whatever, but there wasn't a real deep connection with this. People are coming in for ketamine treatment because they're struggling with chronic depression.
Yeah.
Okay. Because nothing else is working, so let's try ketamine. But what, again, all the researchers that actually been doing the work have saying what is always needed is, before any of the medicine, including ketamine, is that it's not just a pre-screening. It's a discussion of what they expect and what actually to expect, and then having the experience with one of the things that the third wave talks about is the 5 S's.
Okay. And
it's set. I may have one wrong, but it's set, setting, substance, safety, and support. And set is the mindset that when you go in, you may want to do this, but someone needs to be able to recognize, shaman, therapist, whatever, that this is not a good time for you.
Right.
Okay. So the mindset's important because that can affect someone who's anxious. People go to this plant medicine to deal with chronic anxiety. Well, the first thing that they experience when they start taking medicine are often panic attacks.
Loss of control.
And so it's not the first step for them.
Yeah.
And they can use it successfully, but there's things that need to be done differently with people who have anxiety disorders.
Gotcha.
And it's that kind of understanding that is not present for the big groups. It's not about this is for personal growth. Now, someone comes back and they end up with saying, Diana, coming to me with panic attacks or delusional disorders. We can prevent that with just a little bit of, how about some training about some of these things?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm talking about, is not so much regulation, but maybe just responsible training, responsible education, something.
Yeah, I think, like you guys said, I am that person that was so excited about it. Like, this is amazing. I just want to tell everyone, and this is so great. And then very careful on this to not just portray that side of it, and to be able to show. And it's interesting as I interview, especially people who are more seasoned in this, it ends up we talk a lot about this type of a thing instead of about the amazing
the
part,
actual
or about
medicine,
the
And we don't mean to take away from that at all.
No,
because it's everything you say.
That's why you're passionate about it too, is because there's such great benefits of it. And we end up talking about the integration before. I don't know if you call that integration, but really, even on my journey, I realized, oh man, I was doing a lot of really deep diving and shadow work and all these clearing out and a lot of different things before, like along this path. And I think people intentionally going through and doing that process before, I don't know if you would call it integration, and doing some of these other tools, if they don't ever want to touch plant medicine, that's totally, they can have great transformations, but it does, like you said, take work.
Yeah. It's work. It's definitely work. And I agree. I think plant medicine can be for everyone, but it's the way they do it. You can't say, oh, ayahuasca will be great for you. It'll fix your anxiety, or, it'll help with your panic attacks. No, it won't. It will probably make them worse.
Right.
Because you have to experience that sense of that loss of control. And what's anxiety? Fear of losing control.
Yeah.
So it's just the process of getting to the point where you've done work. Yeah. You've done some shadow work, and there are some cliffs you're not willing to jump off on your own, or there are some questions that you have to ask, or you just want to experience the spiritual side of plant medicine, which is another way of healing. And all of that is okay, but the process of getting to the point of using the medicine is better. And I don't mind. If you want to use medicine recreationally, use mushrooms, cannabis, whatever you want recreationally. There are a couple that I don't agree should be used recreationally, but I don't have any problem with that. But know that that's what you're doing, right? There is a difference between doing drugs and doing medicine. And it shows in the experiences, I think. In the outcomes, kind of? Is that what you mean? Or how you experience it? How you experience. Some people say, oh, I was doing mushrooms while we were camping, and I had a terrible experience. The trees came alive and tried to eat me or whatever. Or, so set and setting is very important. Mushrooms are very earthy medicine, so they're always better to do outside and, with the earth. But I don't want to take away from the awesomeness of the medicine and the power of the medicine, either psychologically and spiritually. So, because it is powerful, it's beautiful, and sadly, all of these problems that we discussed takes away from that. Yeah. It makes people say, oh, I'm never touching that again, or I'll never do it because my friend had this, and then they're lost to it. It's a tool. It's such a magical tool that gets lost to people because there's a shaman out there that's not respecting the medicine, or there's somebody out there that's
just getting people together because he read on the internet how to prepare it and order it.
Right. So, yeah. I even thought of that too. I'm just like, this is amazing. And then as I really felt into oh, maybe I should guide people, that's what you're going to give us there. And then I was like, oh, no, that really felt.
That if you are going to guide people, you better do the medicine. You should not try to teach anything about medicine unless you've done the medicine before.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I also feel very strongly that if you're guiding a medicine journey, you should not be on medicine.
Oh, okay,
It's very important that the medicine person or the shaman stay level-headed because of those things that we have to keep energies from intertwining. We have to maintain a safe space. And if you're on medicine, it's harder to do that.
Gotcha. Right. Even a small amount of it, maybe. Or?
So you can enter if you're not capable of being in that energy without taking a microdose. Then sure.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So you can match the energy, but I don't think that people serving should be on medicine.
Interesting. Yeah. Now I came to the conclusion I would want many more years of experience and training before I guided
tells
people.
Me that you could probably guide people. You saying that alone tells me that you could probably guide people.
Yeah.
Because you're humble enough to know that I need to respect this medicine. Right?
Right, yeah.
Most people will do the medicine and say, oh, I'm a shaman, I'm going to guide everybody.
Right.
You know.
And I get it. I get why. But yeah, then you gotta really check in with yourself.
And part of that's that integration thing you keep talking about, that the biggest thing for me to always leave with is that regardless of how and where you've done it, there's still ways and methods to be able to integrate the experience. And in fact, that's something that we try to do here on Sunday nights.
Even bad experiences.
Even
bad experiences
absolutely
are really important.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get somebody who's had a bad and scary experience to see the treasure in it, then it can become maybe even one of their most beautiful experiences on medicine.
Yes.
And that's the part of the aftercare in medicine that we need, is showing people that even your bad or scary experience, the tree's eating you was probably telling you that maybe there's something you need to let go of. Or,
right.
You know, or maybe you need to be kinder to the earth. Yeah. Or whatever, you know. So there's messages even in the bad trips.
Right? That was my interview yesterday, was a gal who was telling me that, like, one of her most profound was also one of her worst and hardest.
Yeah,
I believe with Diana that people can be called to do the medicine and they feel it and they're excited about it. But the defining part is, are they grounded enough and humble enough to say, okay, I don't know it all, and maybe I should, learn a few things, and that's part of anything we do.
Yeah.
I mean, even with you hiking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to be prepared for people slipping and twisting
an
ankle.
That would be like me saying, oh, I went on a hike with Harmony. I'm going to be a hiking instructor now.
Hiking guide,
you know, because I went on one hike with you.
Right.
And, we see it a lot.
And that made me think of, and then you're like, these medicines they're probably so interesting from the medical standpoint because they're so different every time. It's not even just like one person always has this experience or whatever, like, because that's their psyche, but their psyche takes them all over the place. And they're so different every time. You think you're prepared for this one hike, and then you're on like this totally different hike. But that's very interesting from the medical standpoint. Well, but do you want to maybe take us through a little bit more of the integration or the safety, or I don't know, any of those things that are standing out to you as
I think what I mentioned earlier and probably should have finished is the 5 conditions that people should look at if they're considering plant medicine.
Yeah.
And one is their mindset. Number 2 is the setting. Mm-hmm. Where is it taking place? Is it out on the mountainside and cliff? Is it somebody's home? Where is it? We have friends who have served psilocybin in their house, and someone was having a bad experience and took off, tried to get in their car to drive down the street. That's a no-no.
Right.
That hasn't been anticipated. That's another example of the medicine, people serving the medicine really not being prepared for it.
Yeah.
So the setting,
are you out on a hike and you can't get home where you want to be safe and cozy because it's an hour walk back to your car and then an hour drive back home or whatever.
It sounds like you learned that from experience.
No, I'm just saying that might be a bad idea. Well, we were talking about the hiking thing,
Setting also includes the people you're doing it with. Okay,
yes.
Like Diana talked about earlier, which is important. So you've got mindset, the setting, then you've got. Here's the funny thing: people don't know. The third one is substance. Know what substance you're using, because those who have been familiar with psilocybin know that there are. I don't know if it's 50 or 60 different varieties of mushrooms that contain psilocybin, but they divide them into the 2 groups, the whites and the golds, and they are both uniquely different. And someone takes you to a ceremony and says, "Here, I've got some mushrooms for you," and they're nice and white. And say, "Oh, okay, I'll have a whole bunch of those." And so know your medicine.
Yeah.
Or at least know what you're getting.
And the dosage, dosage.
Do some research to find out, or ask your person, what are these?
Yeah, hopefully your person knows.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I got them from Bill, and he got them from Joe.
I would say, maybe
but it's good
time.
stuff.
Yeah.
Works for me.
I think I was just reading in a Johns Hopkins. It was a little complicated. I was going to break it down or find something that broke it down easier, but it was talking about the dosages and how at the very highest dosage, they did have the highest profound experience and life-changing experiences, but they also had higher instances of negative aspects, right? Mm-hmm. And then, they found it more like the second highest dosages. They kind of were finding the sweet spot, but I think taking too much for you, which is totally different than too much for your friend, you don't know, right? But too much for you, I think, is definitely a recipe I've heard for a bad time.
Well, the scary thing is that once you've eaten that mushroom or taken that pill or snorted that ketamine or whatever,
you're in it for a while. You're in it.
There's no going back.
Right.
There's no turning around. You're in it.
Mm-hmm.
You've drank that cup of ayahuasca tea, you're in it. That's one reason I prefer DMT because it's short. And you can choose to, okay, I'm done. That was a good journey, or continue on.
Yeah.
And just take more until your journey's finished.
I've talked about those.
I've never tried it, but I did hear something in all of I'm just fascinated with all of these things, even though I've never experienced many of them. But something that, it was probably Terrence McKenna or something saying, no one has ever... They can't even make it to the hospital. If they think they're dying and they're on DMT, like by the time they get them to the hospital, they don't even go inside because they're back. Never mind, I'm not dying.
I think the longest DMT journey I ever had was the last time that I did Yopo.
Oh my gosh.
It was, I was in the medicine for about 30 to 45 minutes, but the energy of the medicine went all night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I showed my ass to Steve. I don't think you've ever seen me like that. That's a figure.
I remember that.
That's a figure of speech.
I said, did I miss something that night? I didn't use anything. I was holding space.
That's a figure of speech. I was dancing and just really enjoying the experience
communicating
of it. But I was out of the medicine. So, that's the longest any DMT has ever. So that's why I prefer the DMT, even for private sessions with others. Because then it's your choice. I don't have to sit with you for 12 hours while you're on mushrooms or, so shamanically I love if you want mushrooms, I'll do it, but shamanically I love guiding with DMT.
The DMT.
And the cool thing about it too, again, and this is in the, again in the research, is that psilocybin is only one molecule away from DMT.
Okay.
And ayahuasca, the psychoactive ingredient in ayahuasca is a plant containing DMT.
Yeah.
And there was one more that it is DMT with just a little extra click on it, and I can't remember which one that was. I'll have to look up. But so DMT is a familiar thing, and people are interested. There's a lot of YouTube channels about DMT. It's often called the God molecule because our body naturally produces it, naturally processes
it. It's like
it.
Cannabis.
So it's very
naturally occurring in our body.
Okay.
And it may be something that down the road, again, maybe because of its strength, but I was going to say down the road that it absolutely should be used therapeutically because it is short acting.
Sure.
The DMT.
Well, yeah, ayahuasca, DMT.
Ayahuasca, I think of a 10-hour thing, and DMT, I think of a
15 minutes. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, to have a brief experience in my experience. But but just to finish those last things, that know your substance. Again, safety. Are you safe personally? If you take care of yourself, if you're outside. You bring a jacket, blankets, that
water,
kind of stuff. Water, electrolytes. And again, that safety thing, because we here in St. George, a lot of people like to go out into the canyons to
That's
journey.
What I'm saying. And then
you're going to walk off a cliff.
Well, when you want to be comfy and safe and under a blankie, and you're just out there hiking.
That's one thing.
canyons.
I'm worried about people where we went one time that had journeyed there, and it actually within 25 feet, it dropped off.
Yeah,
oh wow!
It was a drop.
So it's like that's
that
not
sounds
smart.
unsafe. Yeah.
Yeah, and the medicine person was on medicine, so didn't know that we had wandered off.
Right.
Had no idea that, how to keep
Multiple
the
people had
group
wandered off.
together.
Right.
Several people, even in cars. Several people were going out here and there, and more people were showing up, and
like wrangling cats.
yeah. That's
or
why
little children.
I think
I mean,
that
if
whoever's
you
leading should not be on medicine.
yeah,
In that
yeah,
okay.
and that
Especially,
setting
yeah.
with like if you're thinking, oh, I don't think I'd really just want to chill here on a lawn chair while my little kid explores this cliff
Right.
over there. You know what I mean? That's
Or sit in the
more,
front yard and let your kid wander down in the middle of the street. It's like,
right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's not. Yeah.
anyways, it's a lot of it's common sense, but we
sometimes you
don't think about
yeah.
it when we're in an altered state.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the new term it's like unnormal consciousness.
It'll just. drop in.
But it's simplified it rather than call it it's hallucinogenic. There's another word that is now being used in the research, and I'll have to look it up. Sorry,
it'll come to you. It's good.
And then what was the last one? Support.
The last thing we talked about, the supporter to me is the big thing, not just there, but the afterwards.
Yeah.
That whoever invites you to go there, that you have a place to go and process and talk about that. Or if finding somebody, find a group, get online. Don't just try to go with what happened. A lot of people don't. What they experience doesn't fit within their reference, life reference at that point.
Yeah.
And many people will, because of that, will just kind of bury it and move on like it never happened. And they're what could have been one of the most life-changing experiences for them.
Yeah.
And they don't have to do that if there's someone there that they can. So that support afterwards is so important. So
I also want to just reiterate the difference between doing the medicine. Like I say, if I'm guiding a group of 5 or so people on a mushroom journey or whatever, or even one person, I don't want to be on the medicine so I can maintain that sacred space for them or safe space for them. But several times, Steve and I have done medicine together, and it's been just us. And I think that goes to safety. If you feel safe, if you're, if we're doing medicine together and we're here and we feel safe, that's different than
You're right.
being the leader of some ceremony where you've got a group of 5 or more people, which I probably would never do more than 5. But
if you're just there with someone and trust,
Right.
and you're both fairly experienced,
right.
and
we know we're
Or
safe.
one of you are.
We know,
You've prepared a little bit, and
yeah, there's no cliffs we're going to walk off of. And I know that even on medicine, Steve would say, hey, you're not right to drive. Or I would say, hey, Steve, you can't drive. Or so there's a difference in what I'm trying to say with that, because I don't want people to think that if somebody around you is doing medicine, you can't, or, but if you're the leader, if you're calling yourself a shaman or a medicine person and you're guiding a group, stay off medicine. That's, that's what,
most safe.
yeah, it's the most safe, and it honors the medicine in a more sacred way, I think.
right, yeah,
The nice thing is the experiences that people share, like we said, as they've done brain scans and show what actually happens, and then try to describe why we have those experiences we have. It's phenomenal that it makes so much sense.
But I was going to ask you both, what you're most excited about right now.
Good question.
In
That we
regards
haven't.
to
Good question.
medicine, or
Whatever, we can go anywhere you want with that.
what
It
I'm
can
most
be your-
excited about right now.
Just something in your life, or
I'm excited to sell my house and be done with this.
Yes.
Selling the house is going to be an ending to several things. It's like a rope that just needs to be cut, right? And I'm excited for that, and excited to to see what comes after having funding to be able to follow my dreams, really. I'm so tired of working my ass off to help other people realize my dreams.
Realize their dreams, right?
So
yeah.
I've done it my whole life. I sit there in the background and support people when they're fulfilling my dreams, right? And,
gotcha.
And I know part of that is because I don't have the resources to do it, but a lot of it is fear. It's, I'd rather they can take all the risks and I'll just be here to, reap the benefits. But but I'm tired of.
So what's the dream? Let's hear it.
I don't know anymore. Like I would really like to have our own space and have forever. I've wanted to see a co-opted healing center where we have a shared space where we just cooperate. So I could say, maybe you need to go see Harmony, or you might benefit from seeing a psychologist, or Steve can say, why don't you go see Diana?
Yeah, save your money.
Space.
This is Diana's issue.
Right. So we can, so we have a space where we can do groups, we can teach classes, we can have yoga, we can do all of these things in one centralized location, and have it to be where we're cooperating with a co-op, and people
like a wellness center.
A wellness center. I'm not sure I want to call it a wellness center because I am a wellness disruptor.
But something where we are all better for being there. We're helping each other out. And,
exactly.
And it's a higher, you'd want everyone in there, right? To be this higher consciousness, this really aligned, inspired type people that you just say, oh, I know exactly, like you were saying, what she does. And this is awesome. And if we did some type of a promotion or some type of a event where everyone kind of shares their gift or whatever it is. And
absolutely. More like a so beautiful community center or, just a place for our community to have resources.
And by bonding together, everyone's helping each other, and you're all benefiting from that.
Well, but even for me, it's even further of having a place that people can come to even find out what's available.
Yeah, right.
Again, but not separate out. Well, at least again for me, it's I want to see people. I want to see our professions, the healers come together rather than. No, don't go over there. They're kind of woo-woo and weird.
Right.
And say, don't go there. They're in their head. And but we show people that they exist together cooperatively, and it works. That's what Diana and done for the 3 years.
The most important thing is that bringing everything together holistically. One of the reasons I call myself a wellness disruptor is because you have wellness gurus that are 100% against anything modern medicine, right? Don't take pills, don't see a therapist, don't do this. Here, rub some doTERRA Breathe on it and you'll be better, right? But that's not right either.
Right.
So I want a space where it can all come together holistically, because modern medicine has its place in this world. And when you're treating things holistically, mind, body, and spirit, I want a place for that to come together wholly. So even the pharmacists to have a place for their pharmacy there, and therapists, maybe eventually one day a family practice doctor, or, and having all of that in one location so we can finally start treating people holistically.
Yes. I love it.
That's been my dream forever, so hopefully it will come to fruition one day.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's much needed, and I'm on board to support that as much as I could, right? I wish I had millions of dollars to be like, let's do it.
Right? Let's do it right now.
Let's go. But even before we have a physical space, we can be doing that.
Absolutely.
We can be doing that. Online you could set things up pretty easily and just just physically without the physical space yet. I'm not saying that right, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, you're...
As we get to know each other and have this community, and I get to see what you offer and what you do, and hear Steve talk at integration group, and be able to understand what everyone does, and that's how it is. That helps. That's the same thing without having the physical location yet, is what I'm trying to say. I'm stuttering through it, but
well, we don't have to wait.
It's happening. I
start to create it.
I refer people to other like massage therapists or whatever, and people have really been referring to people to me a lot lately, and so it's happening. But it would be so amazing to have that space. Like
that's the other piece that I think is important, is that we've got pockets of people that are operating independently, and that gets difficult. We pull our resources together and support each other, and that's another thing of coming down. We've both found, since we've been to St. George, people with wonderful gifts, but again, having to
do it on your own.
Do it on your own. Or, there's this little click here, and there's this little click here, and this click doesn't like that click, and all of these little, and there's a lot of infighting. But I feel like if we come together in a community in this way, people that don't belong will weed themselves out like they always do, and we can find that perfect fit. And people who are really out to help people and not really to either, make themselves into a god or in it for themselves.
Or, I only make money by pushing everybody else down, and that's my only goal is to make millions of dollars, and I don't care how I do it, kind of thing. It's not really the feel you want.
So I think that we can bring people together, even in the cliques that are infighting or competitive and da-da-da-da-da, and then eventually they all just kind of weed themselves out, and how you see it in groups all the time. People that just don't belong there eventually fall away, and as long as you can keep the vibration of the energy, the frequency of the group where you want it, the people that can't match that will eventually
and that's where the word you used earlier, one of you used earlier, is ethics. There's just some basic principles that we need to just understand and remind each other about. The work we're doing, we have to take some responsibility for some of the outcome or what we do. We do, at the very least, like the medical profession, that we do no harm. In our intent to do good, make sure we do no harm, because it's not enough just intend to do good. You've got to take it the next step and say, make sure that my good is not, what I think is been stated many times.
That was perfect, though. I loved that. Is there anything else that you're super excited about right now, Steve?
That has been, ever since I moved down here, it's been kind of the just that feeling of what does it take to bring us all together. I'm excited that we're starting to get support about the use of plant medicine legally now. I love that.
That's very exciting.
And I love being on the end where people have had their experience and are trying to figure it out. That's the teacher in me. Like, let's come here and let's talk about it, because we've been there. We've been there, and we didn't have anybody.
And there are tools. And there are tools to integrate this and make it profound. So that's exciting.
And we're also finding out, as people who have done maybe a plant medicine experience a while back and had to bury it, that if they've come to decide, I want to see if I can learn something from it, they're remembering some of the profound things they totally forgot about.
Oh, interesting.
And it's fun to see them light up and that shift from, it was scary, it was confusing, it was dark, to I
don't remember, it wasn't really that big a deal, and then they start talking about it, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's like remembering a dream. And then saying, oh my gosh, that's what this meant. And, being able to make the connection.
Right. Yeah. And I think that as far as, integration, it's great to be informed. Like, you understand a little bit about this. And because, I could go to a life coach, which I do, or just a therapist, which I've done. And and it's really nice. Even where you're at, you don't have to be giving any medicine, but you're helping people integrate
absolutely
those experiences that they've already had and want to just keep going. And
those who come out struggle that weren't prepared. It's like we both want to provide a place for those people. I mean, that's why we are as healers, as therapists and shamanic healers. You don't have to be out there on your own struggling, and we've seen people that have shut down for years because some experiences, because they had...
Well, I'm just making people know that it's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay that you had a bad experience. It's okay that you're not okay with it. Let's find out why. And because people feel like, oh, it's supposed to be profound, it's supposed to be, and it didn't happen for me.
So there's a lot of guilt, shame.
What's wrong with me that ayahuasca
really
didn't work, right? And it's not about that. So just helping people understand that it's okay to not be okay.
I love it.
So. What are you excited about?
Oh my goodness, so much. I love doing this podcast. I love meeting with people. I did not know how much fun it would be. I'm like, even if I never, I'm totally
so needed.
Publishing it, but even if I never did, like, it is incredible to meet with incredible people and hear their stories and their wisdom. And as I edit, I'm like, oh, all these truth bombs. Right? I'm like, oh, that's so good. But they said I get to hear it again and like I'm like taking the class again and getting that conversation with them again. I feel like I spent 10 more hours with them, and so I probably, I see them next, and I'm like, oh.
Do you ever get like, man, I'm sick of hearing their voice. No. I just want to be done editing.
I haven't yet. I am, not gotten sick of editing. I was so shocked that I would love editing so much, but really excited to get the word out and trying to do it in as good of a job as I can, as conscious as I can, I want to get the word out that this is out there and it's possible, and also not be too Pollyanna, and you know what I mean? Right. Because I tend towards the Pollyanna side. That's just me, and but that's exciting. The different connections that I'm making, and I get to all the different people I get to meet is exciting. And then the future, I think, I was thinking, it'd be really fun. I didn't really want to do plant medicine retreats, but life-changing retreats I did, right? Because I didn't want to be responsible for people on plant medicine. Right. That's not really where I'm not really focused there yet. But life-changing retreats sounds super fun. Absolutely. I love to travel. Let's go travel somewhere and do something life-changing. And then just recently, I have been, it's so funny, really, really excited about something similar. Taking leaders and it's gonna morph, I guess, now, because it's funny. I was just thinking, these women that are they're inspired and they're finding their whatever. And so, sorry, Steve, you weren't in my initial plan, but maybe we can make room in this. But it's the same. It's the same idea. That's why I jumped on your bandwagon. I was like, yes, where we can all help each other, and we're this community, and we can, The thing that was interesting to me as I was thinking about it is I see, I've gone to retreats and they're amazing, and I come out and my vibration's up here and I feel like it's changed my life, and I go back and I'm a better mom, and I'm just better at business and my relationships and all of that, and I come out of it with so much. And then you need integration after, you got to keep that up, right? You need and these facilitators, they're giving and giving and giving and staying up till all hours of the night with people who need their help, and crying with them and helping them and facilitating them. And just, I haven't been to any plant medicine retreats or anything like that, but just in the coaching and the therapy kind of stuff they're doing. And I'm like, wait, we all need a space where we can kind of
healer's healer.
Yes, right. We're here, and maybe we take turns, or maybe we're helping each other somehow, but where we can.
At my yoga studio up north, we had one day a month where we would do the healers, all the healers in the community center would come, and we would just trade. So we would do 15-minute sessions with, the Reiki practitioner, the massage therapist, the foot zoner, and each one of us got to go through each one.
Nice.
We've taken all day Saturday just so we were getting our...
So were you giving on that Saturday too? Yeah. I was thinking, I heard Joe Dispenza was talking about the birds, and there's not always one leader. They take turns who's the leader is. And so I was like, oh, that would be good. Maybe this month, one person is, or a couple people are putting it on and doing a lot of energy, and everyone else gets to be involved. And then, I don't know how it would work out, but this little idea, that's why I jumped on your idea so much, because I'm just I don't know how this is going to work, but I like the idea.
And that builds trust and respect for each other, because so, someone may be very charismatic in their presentation, their retreat, and other person's just very grounding, and it's just, they're both good.
Yeah.
And we, especially as healers, need to be reminded, and also have a place where we can...
It gives us the opportunity to say, I would recommend harmony.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I experienced what she has to offer, so absolutely I would recommend it to somebody that might need that. Or,
as an intuitive person, you can feel, oh, really, you need to go talk to Steve. That's where you're at right now. And then, or you can kind of feel who they might need, right? As someone comes to you with something.
Yeah, and experiencing what they have to offer. Just, it just helps that whole process.
Yeah, so it's along the same lines. That's really funny that's just, I've been thinking about it for a while, but I didn't have any more to it. And today, a little bit more came of okay, maybe this could work. Maybe, and it's funny, everybody's kind of getting ideas like this. So maybe we'll come together and make it happen, right? And change the world.
All it takes a spark, someone to light that. It sounds like you.
Right? I know. Yeah, it's interesting. I just had thought, really why me? Or I don't have anything special, or things like that. Even with the podcast, no, I'm not funny. I'm not interested.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
We all have
well, and then I don't have any qualifications. I don't have any of this, and then it just came down to I'm passionate about it, and I don't have to know everything, and I don't have to be everything to get my voice.
I'll tell you what my teacher told me.
Okay.
I had unworthiness issues, right? And so I was in a session with him, and he said, so you feel unworthy? And I said, yeah. He said, well, thank God. And I was like, how rude, And he was like, there are a lot of worthy people in this world, don't you think? And he said, you're not unworthy, you're humble, right? You know who and what you are and what you have to offer. And it switched just like that for me, thinking, you know what, you're right. It's not that sense of unworthiness as much as it is just being humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all I have is what I have. Yeah. I can just be me, and the people that need that, I'm glad I'm doing it so that they can hear this perspective and these people, and these
that's the true law.
Exact. Yeah, these exact interviews, and and
it's what's needed. I mean, that's how we create the change, is by sharing, educating, spreading the news. And it doesn't happen any other way. We can't. Happens from the bottom up, not from the top down.
Right. Okay, so next time I want to hear about DMT and MDMA and ayahuasca and GHB.
We'll do it again.
All the things. We'll go that all sounds fascinating. I know you guys know more about that than the little tiny bits of research I've done.
I feel like we know more than I should know.
Steve's the reader and researcher, and I'm the experiential one. I don't want to read about it. I just want to experience it, and then I'll tell you what it's like.
Right. I'll tell you what it is. Yeah. No, I want to know all the things before, all the risks and all the benefits. And
I'll have to tell you one of those stories one time about calculating my blood pressure, writing notes down every hour. My very first journey, leaving a note that if I'm found dead, this is what I took. Tell my family I was okay.
I I died happy on
ayahuasca. I'm embarrassed because it's the truth.
Oh,
that's awesome.
So good. I think that's good. The gal I interviewed yesterday was talking about her notes and this heavy depression that had just visited her most of her life, and her, oh my gosh, you guys would have to listen, but the first time she had Tourette's, and she was suicidal at age 6.
The first time she had?
No, she had Tourette's.
She had Tourette's.
Suicidal at age 6. I mean, talk about junior high and high school being terrible. She's like, I couldn't get anything out but like squawking, yelling words, and my head was just ticking all the time, and I felt terrible. Like, you already feel like you don't fit in junior high. Anyway, the first time she did mushrooms was the first time she'd ever experienced not having that state. And that wasn't even what I was going to say. What were we talking about right before there? She took notes as this depression that would always come. And she was taking notes after this experience where it lifted. She's like, I felt that lift. I don't know if it was her first one. I don't think it was. And then she documented this. And 3 years later, she's like, that heavy depression is just, I was like, good for you for like keeping notes every single month even on it,
awesome.
But
did she microdose or how is she using it?
She was said at one time she was doing journeys every month, and then she felt like she didn't need it for a while, and then it'd been like a year, and then she felt called to it and thought maybe it'd give her some answers for this deep depression, or I'm not exactly sure the timeline, but she kind of had this journey she went through, and then she's like, I haven't done it in a long time, and this depression is still doing good, and you lift it anyway. So yeah,
and they say, even you were saying, was it yesterday, that even one time with psilocybin or even ayahuasca can
knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
So cool.
And it's especially useful for, what do they call it? There's another word, but it's chronic conditions that have not responded to treatment. And that's even more, it makes it more beautiful in my mind.
It's sad that it's being seen as a last resort.
Yeah.
But I think in a way it's good, because then you get people that have done work.
Yeah.
That aren't coming in and saying, I have a little bit of anxiety and I'm going to try mushrooms.
But isn't that kind of like, in my mind, it's like the people that need it most are the people that seem like they're most at risk for having a bad time.
Yes.
But then maybe the bad time is what they need. I don't know.
I think, too, it depends on setting, safety.
Yeah.
And that, I'm sure what goes into setting is that intention.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the third wave is they talked about what made a difference for me was the more specific we are going in, the more effective or the more resonant or the more useful the experience. And I found that across the board that you don't have to, a lot of people go in with, show me what I need to know.
Yeah.
But those who come in, I want to know about this, and this, and this, come out just profoundly blessed, or whatever word you want to use.
Awesome. I found another thing that works really well, especially with psilocybin journeys, is to remind them they're on medicine. So when they have that panic, they go into panic or anxiety, just remember you are on medicine, right? So whatever's happening that doesn't feel normal or feels out of your control, it was in your control. You are in control because you chose to take that medicine. You are on medicine. Just remember that. Awesome. And that seems to help. Say, right, I'm on medicine.
I'm on medicine. The medicine's working.
Right, that's why this is so weird. I can relax now. Or, and instead of just letting them believe that it's all real and those trees eating you are real and you're on medicine, that's why it looks like they're coming after you, or so reminding people that that's what's happening has been very helpful.
So good. I have one more question. You were going to say?
Nope, I was just going to agree that that prep work.
Yeah. One more question, but I'm going to do it off the record maybe. And thank you. Thank you so much. I hope we have some more discussions, and I can't wait to watch all of your videos. Thanks so much for subscribing and leaving a review. Come join our amazing free community, Life Changing Trips. There's a link in the description.